Okay. We are live. Feels a little dark to me. Kind of want the light lowered a little bit, but I don't know. Alright, we'll see how that does for us. Sorry I'm running a little bit late. The mother-in-law took her rescue dog to go get groomed, and Zuzu lost his mind. He has been whining and just inconsolable ever since she went to take her, which is kind of amazing. So we didn't think they had bonded to each other quite that quickly. Apparently, we were very wrong. Alright. So, I'm so disorganized. I was like, yeah, I've got everything all set here. We're good to go. And then I said to the husband, oh, can you do this thing for me? Real quick. It'll only take a minute. I seriously? No, that's not the answer. What's the other one? There. Sorry. Forgot I needed my pencil back. Okay. Like, that's kind of important. Alright. Now that I think we may have finally gotten our act together. So, we're going to be working on Christmas gifts. It is Christmas craft season for me to try to get some stuff done here. So, in the corner of the screen on the, what is that? The right-hand side, I have the original base images that we are using here. And these are just scaled down copies of them. I was originally going to try to freehand this, and then I was like, what am I doing? Why am I making this so much harder for myself than it has to be, right? So we are going to take our scaled down image and we are going to tape this in place. So she doesn't move. Because that's not going to do us any favors if it's all sliding around. And we're going to grab our tracing paper so we can make a transfer. Tracing paper is expensive, man. This was $7.99. I got it for $1.99. Because, yay. Alright, we can kind of see that here. Let me see it. Nope, wrong direction. It was right the first time. Okay, my desk's a little crooked at the moment, so I do apologize for that. That's just gonna be the way it's gonna be for right now. Alright, so I am going to tape down the edge of our paper here. Like, I mostly got everything unpacked from the trip. Mostly. But I didn't get my supplies redistributed to their new homes completely. So, I'm not sure if I want to do this way. So we're just gonna trace around our base image here. If you're having trouble seeing the lines on your base image, and it's a photocopy or something that you printed out, something that you can put marks on, and you're having trouble seeing, you could go back in with a very, very fine pen or with a very sharp pencil point and do the lines that you want to see through your tracing paper, and then put your tracing paper down so you can see them better, because this is a slightly frosted thing here. Like, the tracing paper is not 100% crystal clear, so it can be a little bit difficult to see where we need to be. Now, I also scaled this guy down because we are going to be attempting to put this on. Oh, why not? No, that's about right. I'm going to be attempting to put this on a wood slice. So this guy is going to go on this one, right? So, I needed it to fit, and I would have had it sorted earlier this morning, but I didn't think about it till like 10 minutes before we were going live, and I was like, oh, hey, husband, if I send you the thing, can you do this thing? And he's like, maybe. I had my tissue papers slightly off there, which is why I suggest you tape it. Okay, so now I'm gonna come back in, and we're gonna go a little bit differently with this image. So we're gonna try to recreate this with tissue paper. So we need to figure out how we're gonna do that. Now I'm going to into reference photos here. I'm gonna bring up my own copy just to try to get a better look at this. Okay. So we might not be able to get all of this in here, right? Because size. We can try though. So I'm just gonna kind of draw some shapes in here that I think I'll be able to replicate with our tissue paper. That are a little bit harder to make out in the photo with it being the size that it is. We do have some antennas that are very fine coming off our head here. Doesn't look like there's anything round on those though. So actually we can extend those a little bit further to about there. All right, so then, like I said, so we're gonna recreate this with tissue paper. So I'm gonna pull out the shapes on the wings that I think we can pull off replicating. Oh, and my head's in the way, so let me see if I can fix that. Okay, well, the edge of my face is just going to be in the way. Sorry. It happens. Okay. So we've got a little, I think it's white. We have a laser printer, so it prints in black and white. So we have to kind of figure out what these colors are. Although that's not really an edge there, is it? That's interesting. Okay, so that kind of comes up that way. And we definitely have this here. And this is a shape there. So this we sort of have shape there. And this is definitely a shape there. So we have this is our upper wing half. And that's what I'm gonna try to focus on here. So there's actually a line there. And then we've got a secondary line here. And there's actually, how do I want to do this? So I'm not going to be able to get it exact, right? So let's see how I'm going to do this. All right, well, up here, we're going to have sort of this semicircle thing. And then we're gonna have another circle there. And then we've got another line coming in here. Now I'm gonna put some colors down for us to use as sort of like a base reference for this. For us. So we've got, it's going to be black and then a section of white. And then we've got a section of pink. And then like a lighter pink in here. Kind of edging that, because it's not going to be exact. And then, okay, I'm just trying to figure out our major line points here that we're going to want to make use of. Okay, and this guy is a bit of a separate entity. And then we're going to continue with this. And then that's going to kind of go that way. And then this is kind of curvy and wavy in there. Okay. Am I trying to go too detailed here? Probably. Okay. And we'll figure out the rest of that with our color when we go to put that in place. Now I know some people are going to be like, why on earth? Why? Why are you starting Christmas gifts already? Because they take time to make when you're doing stuff by hand. They do, especially for me, and especially if we're going to do it on stream. So if we're really only worrying about it one day a week, we're gonna need time to work on these guys here. All right. So like my first line's being a little fussy about being seen. Whoop. I'm just gonna ignore that bit there. Okay. So that's pretty much symmetrical there. And we're going to do this guy here. And we're going to try to get this in the right spot again. It's not going to be perfectly symmetrical. I mean, even butterflies, you know, actual butterflies aren't all symmetrical. Okay, so then we've got that line kind of running through there. And we've got, well, this is like the whole thing here. And we kind of have that little vein running through there. That's going to be a little tricky. Now, it kind of depends on how detailed we want to go here. We could just leave this all one solid color in here, or we could try to add some lines. I think we might leave it one solid color though, because it's going to be tricky working this small. Since it's not just going to be paint, so. Alright, so this line, we've got kind of coming down and through here. Alright, that's kind of... You okay? Mm-hmm. Sorry. Alright. Didn't know if you'd spilled anything. Nope. Okay, so yeah, the one wing looks like it took a little bit of battle damage. That's why it's a little bit off there. So then we've got our gray color coming down through here. So yeah, like this section of the wing is missing. Okay. So that's pretty good for that one. Okay, so for the time being, I am going to... That piece of tape wasn't quite so salvageable. The other one was, though. Actually, I want to make sure this sticks really well, so we're just going to get some fresh tape. I just realized we still have to cut the other one out. If I can get the tape up, that will be fantastic. Okay. So, I'm going to grab this guy. And we don't need all this extra paper here. I'll save that for something. So these images I picked up off of Unsplash in their free to use section. That's why I have who did the photos on the bottom edge. I will try to remember to notate that in the description for when this goes to the YouTube channel. Or if you don't want to go to the YouTube channel, feel free to message me and I can get you those two names. Sorry, I'm just darkening this up so I can see our base lines a little bit better. Certain sections of this are a little bit harder to see. Like I said, just to make this a little bit easier on myself. And I don't know that I'm going to need these tail feather separations necessarily, but so I am going to keep a couple of these branches in potentially. And we need to make our leggy a little bit easier to be seen. That just kind of like goes up. Is it in front of? Hang on. Or does he dip behind? Oh no, that's in front of, like fully in front of. I'm gonna take this one out because I'm not feeling that one. Like, not at all. And you know what? We can if we so choose to. And we'll keep these two, though. That's fine. Alright. So, we need to tape down this guy, because the last thing I want him to do is to be sliding all over the place. Because then that will make our copy off. And I have ads starting in a minute. If you are subscribed to the channel, you should not get them. It'll be 2 minutes worth of ads, and they help the channel. So if you would like to sit through them, that would be fantastic. Who's sitting on my feet? Who's this? Who are you? Peabut. What are you doing down there, guy? Just redoing my point there a little bit. Now I have a cat ass on my foot. Lovely. Okay. So I'm going to start off with putting in our branch here. Now Peabut's going to open the curtain and look out the window that is behind my monitor. So if the lighting level seems to have changed, that would be why. Let me see if I can slide this guy. We do have a new microphone, so I'm hoping you guys can hear me okay. The sound levels on Coral Island yesterday seemed to be much better on this microphone than they were on the old one. So I'm hoping that this one is doing all right. All right. So I'm just getting our stick popped in here. And it's okay if our stick is not perfect. Although, how is this foot? Oh. Okay. He's actually sitting on a different branch. Cats, could we not? There's actually two branches there. He's sitting on one that's going off behind because this foot here has the branch sitting over top of it. And this part doesn't have to be super perfect. And I'm not sure what sides are going to get cut off here, but this is just our base image here. And we will figure out positioning here soon enough. I'm going to put that little bit in there. Okay. And we're going to get our little wing in here. All right. So it's going to look a little strange here at first, but it's kind of one of those try to trust the process moments. And we are definitely going to try to trust the process here. Okay. I was going to take this branch out. but I don't know. Maybe we'll put it back in. Okay, so that's our base design here. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and peel this up. It's funny how the one side is a lot easier to peel up than the other. Where's my tape? There it is. But you know what? That's why I've got this contact paper down. So we don't mess up the desk surface. There. I'm okay if the contact paper gets messed up because we can always replace that. That's a lot more replaceable. Okay, I'm gonna come back in and I'm gonna separate these guys out. Just to make it a little bit easier to work with. I probably should have placed them a little bit better. Just to conserve the tissue paper, but would I have remembered that I had a small piece of tissue paper? I don't know. We will put these into our folder. And we've put all of our templates and stuff that we have saved. Okay. So now we need to get this from here onto here. And it'll definitely fit. We'll have to figure out a background. And I'm not sure what background I'm going to do on that one yet. Maybe we'll go with like a grayish. Or maybe like a spring green or something. Okay, so now we're gonna come back over the back of this. We're definitely on the back. And gonna scribble lightly. As light as I can. But still enough to get some graphite down here. So that we can still see our lines. It's either that or or we could go like directly over the lines again, line for line. If you're gonna do that, or even for this part, you should probably have another piece of paper underneath, because as you're doing this, there's a chance that you could transfer what you've already done onto whatever surface you're doing this. I mean, if you're just doing it in graphite, It probably won't be that big of a deal to clean up. But I also don't know how precious the surface is that you're working on. And if you're going like line for line, it's gonna leave a mark. So I'm not sure if I'm putting enough graphite down on the back of this at the moment. Like, we'll find out as we go along here. Wait, what on earth was that noise? Sounded like some kind of work vehicle or something. We'd had to have them come out and look at our internet Sunday. Because we kept dropping like crazy and we had no idea what was going on. And they ended up having to replace a part Saturday, excuse me. They ended up having to replace a part in our modem. Our modem seems to be outside. What was with the backup work truck sound?
Don't know, didn't hear it. What's out there now?
Alright, so we just want to position this guy to where we want him. So when's the dog gonna be ready?
Mom said we would head back after about an hour or so. I'm gonna go with her and see about that harness.
I thought the dog was with you the last time you got the harness, or was she not?
I'm not sure, to be honest. My mother may be just full of shit. I don't fucking know.
Okay.
Remind me to spray your palm tree tonight.
I watered it earlier.
Oh.
Like, I straight up watered it because spraying it wasn't enough. Alright, so we're gonna press a little bit firmer and gently. Like, we don't want to tear through our tissue paper here. But we don't want to go... Okay, it is transferring. We don't want to go too crazy, and it might not be too bad of an idea to check in on your design from time to time. But try not to move it around too much. So like if you lift it up, make sure you have at least one side taped down. Okay. And if you lift it up, you want to make sure that it goes down in the exact position that it had been. So this transfer is going to be a little bit messy. While you get your lines in place. So we might not be able to get this exactly copied in or filled out with the tissue. We might end up going over our areas just a little bit, and that's okay. I mean, you have to expect that that's going to happen. And you kind of have to be okay with it to a degree. Because it does have a certain thickness to it. Now, some of these lines I'm probably going to omit here. And you want to go slow on this part. You don't need to speed demon through it, because trying to speed demon through it's gonna end up with blurry offset lines. We've learned that from doing this before. And it doesn't really work out too well. Now we might not be able to get every little curve perfect with the paper, and that's fine. We are going to put down some hints of color. So we know where our other color is going to go. And we're just kind of using this more for a guideline. To help us get things placed where they need to be. And if that cat just messed with the internet box, I'm going to lose my mind. Because he keeps trying to stand where the connection is. Yeah, that was wild this weekend. We were dropping like almost every 5 minutes for like 2 minutes at a time. Okay. So I think I've got... No, I didn't get this section in here yet. Alright. And I don't remember if I got that part. If you don't remember if you got something, just go over it again. Like there's nothing wrong with that. How did I? Okay, we'll figure it out from there. That's fine. Like, we'll figure out all of the little details. When we really get down in there. Like, for right now, like, I probably got a little bit carried away here. So, probably just needed to get that. All right, let's see. Okay, so not bad. A little smudgy in spots, but that's okay. Not too bad. Fairly clean. And all the little bits in here, we might have to take this out a little bit further.
Your mother's requested I go get her medication, so I'll be back.
Why not just go to get it when you go to get the dog?
Because we're gonna see how I'm doing when I'm done getting her medication, see if I'm gonna move on to the dog. So.
Okay. All right. So there's that one. And we are switching back and forth between two because I have two that I need to work on. Okay. Get that edge out of there. Now I'm going to see if I can resharpen this without snapping the point here, which I tend to do. I have done the knife method before, the box cutter method. And yeah, you can get a really sharp point, really fine point with that. But it's not always ideal if your hands tend to slip and stuff, so probably not the best idea. Alright, so again, same way we did it. Now, if you wanted your image reversed, you could just flip it over and trace it this way, but I want it to sit this way. Now, if I had thought about it, I could have had him flip the image. If I had the printer hooked up to me, I would have. But we only have the one printer, and networking that printer has been a nightmare. I think we had it networked once to my PC for like a month. Something happened, and I don't know if we had to replace the router or something. Something happened, and we had to, something got disconnected, and then it refused to reconnect network-wise, and we're like, are you kidding me? Drove us utterly mad. And then we were like, screw it. So it's not worth as much aggravation. And so whenever I need something printed now, I just send it to him. I'm not actually sure when the last time we put toner in that thing is. We don't print very often. Ooh, I'm really excited. I have to take a minute. We have to take a break. I have to show you. I'm sorry. I'm excited about this. I picked this up while we were away. And it's Millie Murata's Island Escapes. This is such a cool coloring book, you guys. The images are a little small in some of the spots, so I might have to throw it on the flatbed scanner and blow it up a little bit, and then I might transfer one of these to a canvas. And we might paint it instead. But these are so cool. It would be a canvas that I would be keeping too, so. There's a crab one on here that I want to do for the husbands. I wasn't sure if I was going to get it. And he's like, no, get this one. The paper's thicker than the other one I had in my hand. Got some birds here. Where's the crab? I wasn't sure if there was flamingos on here. But then they had the crab and we're like, okay, we have to get it. Because the husband loves hermit crabs. It's back here somewhere. So I'd seen it when I was flipping through. And I didn't realize he was checking out already. And he's like, are you done? I'm like, I don't know yet. Give me a second. I was like, you went to go check out and didn't tell me that you were checking out. It's through the back here somewhere. Where is it? Here it is. So it's like just a bunch of, if you look really close, you can tell that there's crabs in there. It's not hermit crabs, but it's still a crab. So we're like, ooh, fantastic. And then this is a list of all the different island creatures and flowers and stuff that she incorporated in there. And it's a really nice book. Sorry, I was really excited about that. I had to share. Now, I don't know if you can get that on Amazon. I haven't looked. You probably can. Maybe. I got that at the Butterfly Conservatory when we went to go do flamingo. Oh, I have to show you my flamingo photos. Now, there's not that many I'm gonna hijack this image here. There's not that many photos of me. Oh shit. I don't think I downloaded them yet. Hold on. Hold up. The husband sent them to me on Discord. And I was like, okay. I was bright red because I had gotten a little too much sun. And like they get right on up in your face. See if I can do this real quick. So let me see. I'll just show the one for now. I have to remember to go back and get the rest of those off of Discord. Oh gosh, what image was this? Hang on. Okay, so there's not many images of us around, but they like let these two like walk right up to you. There's only 6 people in the group. And this I think was this the male? I think this was the male. For like 15-20 minutes, this guy had like latched on to one of the other guys in the group's sunglasses, like the rim of it, and he was just like holding on, like tapping it. It was the hilarious thing. And then he walked over, and then he saw Russell's glasses, and mine don't have a frame on them, so I guess they couldn't figure out that I had them on. So then he was tapping the husband's glasses, like the frame. He didn't mark up his glasses at all. And then there's another photo we have where the female, I had shifted my feet, and she thought that my sock, the edge of my sock, and my Crocs were fascinating. And then she started tapping those with her feet, I mean, with her beak. And then she grabbed the edge of my capri pants and started mouthing those. And like, that was just so much fun. The guy sitting next to us, was a lady, and that was another guy. He had like a webbing camera bag strap going like across his chest, and she kept getting super fascinated about that, the female. But that was just so much fun. So let me downsize this. So that was a fun time. We were glad that it didn't get canceled because of the Hurricane Helene. Because apparently the flooding. You know what? I'm actually gonna leave that sit on there to try to remind myself to grab that stuff because I had completely forgotten to. So Hurricane Helene, Tropical Storm Helene, at the time we were down there, was going past the Keys, past Key West, and we actually, the original day we were supposed to be driving through the Keys was when it was going by the Keys, and we're like, I don't know, man, I don't want to have to drive through all that in the blinding rain on those little tiny roads, or it's like one way in each direction coming through there in parts, and people get silly sometimes, and you know, if there's an accident, then we're gonna have to sit there. So we decided, we called the hotel and we're like, hey, could we maybe come a day early? Is that possible? And they're like, yeah, we can do that. And we were like, really? And they're like, yeah, that's not a problem. Your room is available a day early. And we're like, sweet. So we managed to do the drive down to my brother's in like 2 days, which was not fun. And the town my brother and my aunt were in, where we were dropping my mom off with them, the one house my brother was trying to sell ended up getting, that house was on a canal. He was originally living there because he had a boat and he had his own private boat dock and stuff, and he decided to, one storm that came through, he had that the water came up out of the canal and was like 3 or 4 feet from getting to the edge of the house, and that scared him. So he's like, no, I'm going to sell this. So he bought a different house. And he put a lot of work into that place. And when we were there in January, February, he was in the process of still kind of moving in to his new house. And he had to redo all the electrical in there. And he was setting up his cameras for security, and he was like, he didn't completely gut the place, but he put new flooring down, and he was redoing the paint and adding some different stuff to the walls in certain spots, like some faux brick in one area. He was just redoing the whole place. And he ripped out the lawn and had like landscape gravel in because he didn't want to have to deal with cutting the grass and stuff. And so the house that he had been living in on the canal, he was trying to sell it this past spring. He finally got an offer after having to lower the price several times, and the original asking price I thought was rather ambitious, shall we say. Rather ambitious. It's not that I didn't think he would get the original asking, it's just, I don't know. I know he put a lot of work into the place, and I know he was trying to recoup some of the money and walk away with some extra, but it just felt a little high. But then again, there were other places in that neighborhood area that were selling for that amount, if not a little bit more. So, okay, maybe possible. He got an offer like 3 days before Hurricane Helene hurled herself into town, right? But something happened, and I don't know what, but he said he ended up getting into an argument with the real estate agent. And something happened, and I don't know if the offer didn't get accepted or what, but something happened. And then the storm came in, and his house on the canal ended up with 3 feet of water inside. And he wasn't like right on the canal. There was a little bit of yard and steps coming up from the boat dock, and there was a pool. He's like, so the water was covered the pool, and 3 feet of water inside the house. And I was like, oh God. So all of the drywall has to be ripped out and redone. The electrical is shot. It has to be rewired. The floors are fucked. He has to redo all of the flooring. And they won't just give him the money. The insurance company is going to give the money to the contractors, I think, once they do the job or something. So, yeah. That's a whole mess and a half. His other house the new house that he moved into in like January-ish, that house was fine. I think their power was out for a couple of days where my brother's new house was. Oh, I didn't. Did I not? Oh, I didn't. Hang on, I didn't put that line in there. Can I even... So... I missed that line entirely. Let's see if we can... I don't know if I can get this lined up again here. Nope, I missed that line. So we had left my mom with her sister, and we got down there a day early, which worked out for us. And then my mom's having people text us, and they're like, yeah, they're talking about gas shortages and stuff up in Georgia. Well, we had to go through Georgia to get home. Like, we didn't have to, but that was the way we wanted to. So it was the way we came down. So it was the way we were familiar with, and it was the way we had already been planning on stopping. Like, we didn't have hotels booked, but we had them picked out. And a couple of the towns that, well, at least one of the towns we were going to stop in was kind of screwed. They're like, yeah, no, don't come here. So we decided, we're like, okay, well, what if we like stay an extra day? So we extended our stay another day. And we had to stay, like, we were trying to figure out what we were going to do to get home to avoid staying in Georgia, but it was going to be like a 12-hour drive back to get into Alabama. And husband's like, yeah, I'm not doing that, not in one day, because that's without stops, and my mom has to stop to smoke. So we're like, okay, well, if we can't do that, what are we going to do? So we started looking for hotels to stay in. The one place had a spot right before we left Florida, and I had seen it when we were driving, and we're like, okay, well, we're gonna stop to pee in like a half an hour at the next rest area. We'll book it then. And we got back in the car from peeing and went to book it, and it was already gone. And we're like, oh shit. So, because it was 3 people traveling, and we did not want to pay for 2 rooms. So we needed like 2 queen beds. We couldn't do a king and a sofa because the husband and I were not going to be able to sleep on a sofa bed. And we're like, well, shit, now what? So then we started slowly checking towns in Georgia. And a couple of the towns that we probably would have been more comfortable staying in, because we'd stayed there previously, had nothing available. And we're like, well, they either don't have any power or they're full from other people staying there. So we finally found a place near Macon, and that was filling up fast. It wasn't ideally where we wanted to be. The hotel was under renovation. The room was clean. It was a place to sleep. Food options around there were a little lacking for stuff that we preferred to eat, but it was all right. And then our target city in Alabama now made no sense to stop in on the way home, because pencil, didn't know what that was. Because it would have been such a short driving day. So we changed our next city to a place we'd stayed at before in Mississippi, which ended up working out because then we only had like 5.5, 6 hours to get home. So getting home wasn't a long, drawn out adventure, and going there seemed to be a lot faster than coming home. And we managed to get out of there before the Hurricane Milton nonsense happened. So we were grateful for that. Because that wouldn't have been a good time at all, to say the least. So we are working on finding a new normal because we were gone. Like, we weren't gone that long. We were gone for maybe 2 weeks. And but that's enough to disrupt the husband and I's routine. So now we have to find a new routine. And I kid you not, like every day we were on the road and we were down in the Keys. We were up like a half an hour, 20 minutes before sunrise. And we're not normally up that early, but we're trying to ride the momentum train and keep that going. So we're going to try to go to bed early for as long as we can. And we're going to try to keep getting up early, which is why we moved the stream forward a little bit from 2 to 11. I'd been starting around 12 anyway. So it's not that far off. And it was a little bit easier to attempt to keep that momentum so far since we've been back, because this way I can get some work done in the morning. I take my time getting up. Like the past few mornings I've been working on a video, trying to edit that together for the channel, some recorded clips that I took while we were down there, of when we were at one of the beaches. And we were driving through Alligator Alley, just coming out around Fort Lauderdale. And it hit both of us that we forgot our gyroscopic tripod that we had specifically gotten because I wanted to do some walking recording that I could then play back when I'm on the treadmill. And we had gotten that one so it wasn't so like bouncy in the screen. Specifically got it for a couple of videos we wanted to record while we were down there. Completely forgot to pack it. We had everything else, but we forgot that. I was so mad. And husband's like, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I don't know. Because we'd gotten it from Walmart, I think. And I'm like, there's a Walmart in Florida City, but I don't know how much of a pain in the ass they're going to be to get in and out of it. And then we thought, well, there's got to be like a camera store or something down there. There might have been like a camera store, but it was on the other side of the island and we didn't feel like trying to navigate through the weird ass traffic to go get it or to go look. So we just kind of made do with what we had. So now we have to go back again so I can get my my recordings done, but it's going to be a while before we can do that. Oh gosh, what do I want to do for this? Do I want to do acrylics? I kind of do, but I kind of don't want to pull out those ones. Alright, give me 1 second because I just realized I don't have any water. I'll be right back. Alright, sorry, I had to see where the husband disappeared to. I don't know where he went. Oh my goodness, this bin has been such a pain. Okay, so I usually try to throw some paint colors down. Sorry, I was looking at something. I usually try to throw some paint colors down under these. Not for any major specific reason. Like, you can do this without that. But I never cleaned that. That's alright. If nothing else, just to hide any white underneath that might shine through. So, like, if you don't get your paper crammed in there real tight, sometimes you will have some of the white background peek up through. This does not need to be perfect in any way, shape, or form. It can be streaky. It does not need to be full-on perfect coverage. Oh, speaking of, I did manage to work on one piece while I was gone. Didn't get as much art done as I was hoping to, but I managed to get this guy done in gouache. Not too bad. Not too bad. Could be a little better, but you know, that wasn't so bad. All that got free-handed and everything. So. Alright, so this was an unfinished wood slice. This is the back. I gessoed this side. I used white gesso. Let's see, this is where my lines might get adjusted on the fly. It happens. We know how I am with the lines being streaky. But for this, it's not gonna matter. Like, I could have used watercolor. Probably could have used the gouache, but there's a chance the glue could reactivate the gouache, so we'll just go with the acrylic. And this is nothing special acrylic paint. It's like my craft paint stuff. It's fine. Could probably even use temper paint for this part if you needed to. Like I said, this is gonna get covered. So this doesn't matter like you would think it would. We really won't be seeing this very much, or we shouldn't really be seeing it at all. It's mainly just there to hide any gaps underneath to keep the white of our gessoed background shining through. And it also serves a secondary purpose, and that is sort of as our color guide. So we have an idea of what color we want down there. All right. So what color? I'm not sure what color those leggies are there. Gonna need to bring up image. They're kind of like a darker brown. Okay, so that's all right. That's fine. Tell you what. Tell you what we'll do. Just so I can keep my colors straight. I'm gonna come back in and just lighten this a little bit. And again, this is just a suggestion guideline on our branch. It's okay if we don't get it filled in exact. Like, it'll be okay. I promise. Now, the image is probably going to be slightly distorted and not look completely perfect and crisp because paper is paper. And paper is going to do what paper wants to do. Oh, there actually should be. Something coming off of there. Just to kind of help give this guy a little bit more of a, yeah, I should be there feeling. Okay. Got that there. Let me see how disorganized I am today. Yeah, I didn't get to spend that much time doing art while we were away. I was struggling with that though. Like, we had extra time and we needed time to chill in the hotel room because our hotel was pretty far down the road, so we did quite a bit of walking. So like, we took 1 or 2 days, I think it was 2 days total, just to kind of chill at the hotel and utilize the pool and all that stuff. This is probably not the green I am gonna go with in the tissue paper color. It might be close though. I usually try to get at least close to the tissue paper color, but I haven't pulled out the tissue paper colors yet, so like, it's probably going to be a slightly darker green, to be perfectly honest. I am going to use in the background. And I might just kind of smoosh the background color in. I don't know yet. Kind of have to see how things go here. I might do snakes if I can get it to look right. But yeah, I was struggling because I'm like, I could be doing art at home. But also, our feet were killing us from all the walking we did. We were doing like a minimum of, let's see, well, if we walked down for lunch. So we were almost at the end of the main road where everything is. And that road's about 1.25 miles. So if you count all of our side steps that we did and everything, it was about 1.25 miles down to where we had lunch most days, because that's where the husband wanted to eat. We're crazy people. We find a spot we like that's consistent, and then we tend to keep going there. Even though there's all these other food options. I'm like, I don't want to be disappointed, though. Like, I like the food here. I want to go here. I think we ate at like 4 different places the entire time we were there. 2 of them, well, 3 of them with quite regularity. I'm sure they were sick of seeing us. There is a fuzzy in there. Get out of there, fuzz. Oh, we're in ads. Didn't realize that ad break was coming. Okay, but yeah, so we were walking about 1.25 miles down to go get lunch. And we usually got lunch early because the breakfast that the hotel offered wasn't the greatest. And the husband was like, no, I don't want anything to eat here. So we would head off to lunch. Like we'd start walking around like 10:30 to get there for when they started serving lunch around 11. And so then it was like another 1.25 miles back. And that's if we didn't do any side trips to check out this store. Oh, what's in here? And all of our window shopping and whatnot. And then we would go back for sunset and dinner. So then that's another 1.25 miles back down to the pier. And then we would detour for dinner on the way back. And it's another 1.25 miles on the way back. If not a little bit more, depending on where we stopped for dinner. Because then we found that one of the streets over was a little bit easier to navigate on the way home because we didn't have as it wasn't as crowded, and there wasn't as many bars or restaurants that people were like suddenly walking out of and stopping in front of and taking up all of the sidewalk and all that. And it's very interesting. Like, after Helene passed, the tourists' capacity on the island went back up to about normal for this time of year. Around the storm, a lot of the hotels were only at like 40% capacity, and they were like giving deals because they didn't issue, there was no evacuation orders for the Keys, and they actually made out pretty good aside from a little bit of flooding. Like the road that the conservatory was on flooded, but they had floodgates up in front of the doors, and we were actually going to go there an extra day the day before. And we're like, oh, they're not open. Their floodgates are in front of the door, but there was no water in the street, and we were very confused. And we're like, we weren't sure if our flamingo was gonna get canceled. But once the tourists came back, it was very difficult to walk side by side on the street. And it was very interesting because the husband and I, if we hadn't single filed, the other people wouldn't have. And we're like, are people just that? Like most people, I'll put it that way. A few people did. But there were so many people that were just like, I don't know if they were oblivious, didn't have manners, or what, but like it just didn't seem to even be a thought in their brain about, oh, let me move over to make room so both sets of people can walk by at the same time. It was very strange. And it was kind of like pissing us off because it seemed like most of the time, if we didn't move, we would have walked into people. Like, and we were the ones that were having to move the most, it felt like. And I'm like, this is very strange. So we're gonna let this background be streaky. Anyway, I didn't finish the other story. So we were walking like 1, 2.5, 3, 4. We were walking like a minimum of 5 miles a day. One day we walked almost 10, I think. So our feet were not happy with us because we're not used to doing quite that level of walking in a day. I had a blister under my one callus on one of my toes, and I'm like, ow, this kind of hurts. So, I mean, we kind of liked the place. The price was good. The room was clean. The pool was pretty good. The pool was heated. We liked that. That was fantastic, especially with all the rain. It didn't really cool the pool down too ridiculously. So that was great. The only thing that was really a problem for us was how far the hotel was. Now, we could have driven the hotel and parked in a different lot, Parking on the street was hard to find, and even the parking lots, you had to pay to park in them. And it would be the one day that we took the car out. It was our second to last day, because we went over to the one beach where I took the video footage. It's gonna go up later tonight. Like the one lot we parked in when we stopped to get lunch on the way back, that was $5 an hour, which wasn't terrible. Because I think the one lady that worked at our hotel front desk that had checked us in and helped us a couple of times with some stuff, she's like, yeah, like parking used to be this and then it was that, and now it's like almost $9 an hour. And I'm like, wow, guess it depends on where you are. I mean, I've seen higher prices than that for parking in Ocean City, New Jersey during holidays and stuff. So it doesn't surprise me. And some of the garages at the casinos would be rather extensively high during special events in town, like almost $50 for the day, I believe. Or for a certain number of hours. But I guess if you break it down by hour, probably not so bad. It just felt like sticker shock, I suppose, but we kind of didn't necessarily mind walking, and it's definitely a lot easier to walk in that town. The town's definitely more of a walking, biking town. But I don't know if we'll try to stay somewhere a little bit closer next time. We really liked the property that was next door to us. It was beautiful. And they had some areas that you could only access if you were staying there that had some really great sunrise views. But the property was probably $100 to $150 more a night to stay at than ours was. And I think their lots might have flooded, which would have been a problem for us. As it is, our car's making a funny noise now. We were good until we drove through some floodwater during a torrential downpour from thunderstorms that were happening when we rolled back into town where my brother was, just on the edge of it. There was a garden center that we really wanted to stop at to get some more funky art for the house. Because they have a lot of like metal statues and signs and things, and it's where I got my one flamingo that's on a stick that bobs up and down. I've seen similar ones on Amazon, but they don't look as good. The ones at this place looked a lot better. And the streets were flooding, and we drove through some pretty deep water. And ever since then, like, it wasn't that deep. Like, it was maybe bottom of the door on the car, but we just have a small Toyota Corolla, so it's not like it's that far off the ground. But ever since then, we've been hearing a weird rattle, like a creaky rattle under the front somewhere, and we don't know what it is. We kept hearing it the whole drive home. So that was anxiety inducing. We thought it was the support for the hood, for like the hood arm, had gotten unseated and wasn't staying put, so we zip tied that into place. And I really didn't think that was it, because it sounded like it was coming from under the car, like front corner panel or like in the middle somewhere. I'm like, husband, no, I really don't think this is it. It's not coming from there. And we didn't have any places that we could stop to get a really good look under there. And our maintenance light has come on because of the amount of miles that we've done now. So I think we're either going to try to park it on the hill in our driveway and try to get a look up under there and see if we can see what's happening. Or we need to, forgot to grab yellow. Or we need to, just tell the maintenance guys, like, hey, dealership. So this happened. Oh, and another fun thing that happened. We were about... No, that morning when we were leaving. We got in the car. And one of the tire sensors was lit. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? You're kidding me. You can't be serious right now. And the husband got out and checked the tire pressure on everything. And he goes, they're all within normal range. The last tire sensor finally went bad. When we had a whole bunch of work done on the car in April or so, they had replaced 3 of the 4 tire sensors because they had gone bad. And they were just constantly on, so we never knew if we had a tire that was flat or not, or starting to go flat. So that was like completely nerve-wracking. So for now, I'm just going to paint that black. And we'll figure it out when we get there. I haven't used this paint in quite a while. That was way too much, but that's okay. Way too much. Okay, so... like I said, this doesn't have to be perfect, right? We can see how streaky the background is. But this is... it's not 100% necessary to do this step. But I find it helps. Because then you kind of have a background that's not completely white, so if your pieces of paper aren't tightly crammed up against one another and you have a little tiny gap, what shows through will be the background color and not bright white. So I find it helpful in that regard. And then also for the fact that you now have a somewhat built-in color key all ready to go here. So your colors are sort of mapped out for you. Sort of. Now, we won't really be able to get too much shading with the tissue paper. We kind of have to pick a color and go with it. So I've not really found a way to shade it. It's kind of like the needle felting, except this is a bit more messy and kind of has a few extra steps involved. No, we probably could have just needle felted this. We most likely could have. But I need to get back into the swing of things with the tissue paper art. Because one of the reasons that we dropped a stream day was so that I have time to work on some personal projects. And one of those is a large tissue paper art project. We're going to try to do, or I'm going to try to do, a sunset or sunrise, whichever you want to consider it to be, with a couple of flamingos in the foreground. And that's probably going to be on a 36 by 48 canvas. I know how big it is. I've seen the canvas. We've already picked it out. We haven't purchased it yet, but we were originally looking at something that was bigger. I think we were originally looking at 48 by 60. But for that, we were going to have to go down to Michael's and hope they had it in stock. By the time we got there, the other one is a little more local. Because Russell's like, I don't want to order a canvas that big. What if it comes in damaged? It's more likely to get damaged with a box that big. I'm like, I've ordered canvas that big before, but not in some time. Because that canvas that size is a little bit pricey. So it's been a while. But we decided to just size down a little bit so we can go pick that up locally. And the biggest expense is going to be the tissue paper. Because I have to work out my base concept design, which I started to do before we left, but it was in a different sketchbook. It wasn't the sketchbook I took with me. I took the smaller sketchbook with me. So I have to get back to work on that. I want to get back to work on it. I've just been busy working on video editing since we returned. And the video I was editing, I got partway through it and realized what I wanted to do wasn't exactly gonna work. And I was like, so then I had to start the project over. Oh, that's getting kind of chunky. I'm not a fan of this brand of paint. I mean, it's Liquitex, it's okay. But I like the craft paint better. Which color is this? Cadmium yellow. I mean, it can be streaky, it's fine. It's just the color I grabbed. See, I do own a couple artist tubes of paint, I swear. Let's get back to oil painting too. Okay, so there's our base for the cardinal. This is for the mother-in-law's sister because they traveled together, so I sort of feel obligated to do one for her. Okay, I need to drop that one down. Okay, so we have to pick out our colors for this. So this is going to be sort of a base of yellow. So we can just use this same yellow, I suppose. All right. How do we want to? All right. Okay. So we've got some black that we have to work in here. If you hear another female voice in the background, I don't know if it's getting picked up. It's my mother-in-law. She's not always the best at being quiet. And they are outside. And this house's soundproofing is like non-existent. And I think that they may have forgotten about that, because I think the husband is with her. So I do apologize for that if it came through. Okay, so this guy is going to be a little bit trickier. I feel. Not sure what color I'm going to do the background on this one yet. I might go with a... Sorry, I was looking at the reference photo. I have a bigger version of it on my other monitor here. I don't know, maybe I'll go with a light blue? Because, I mean, we're gonna... It's either that or we go with, like, a spring green. Okay, so this section in here is yellow. So, what is that? Okay, this is supposed to be yellow too. And we've got some more yellow that we're going to be working through here. So this is probably going to involve tweezers and snipping. I've not done a tissue paper art this tiny, I don't think. I don't remember doing one this tiny if I did. Well, I got the stuff for the magnets that I want to attempt to put together, which we will probably work on if we get these done in time. Well, when we get these done, or when we get the husband's Christmas gift done, because those are going to be needle felted. And we're going to start the husband's Christmas gift tomorrow. He already knows what that's going to be. So we're going to try to needle felt him an axolotl. And depending on time, we might attempt to do 2 axolotls. We might try to do a big stuffed animal one. Kinda. A bigger statue. And then we might try to do a tiny ornament-sized one for the tree. Maybe. I might be getting a little ambitious there, but we'll see what we have time for. So I did come out on that line just a little, because I think we're going to have to make some adjustments here as we go. Just so that we can get these colors in here. Because, I mean, the paper does take up its own bit of room here for its own existence. It's not like paint where we can just slap it down and figure it out. So we might have to make some small adjustments here and there. Sorry, something slid next to me and I don't know what it was. As long as we're still on the air, it's all good. So, get a bit more of our paint here. And we'll start filling in these sections. I am getting hungry hippo. I got used to having lunch every day. I got used to eating 3 meals a day, actually. Although a couple days breakfast was just a chocolate chip cookie that we had gotten the night before. So we didn't feel like venturing out for breakfast. The one place I wanted to try was closed for renovations. A lot of places seemed to close for renovations or to take their own vacations the month of September, which I found fascinating. I didn't know that. Unless it just happened to be the timing. I mean, there's still a fair number of places open, but it was just fascinating to see how many places were taking September for renovation. Will say the only thing I don't really like about the artist paint is that it feels like it's drying in my brush a lot faster. It might not be, but it feels like it. Like, I don't like how my brushes feel in it. They feel gloopy. But this paint's a lot gloopier. So I suppose that makes sense. Alright. So we'll get this worked into here. You okay?
Mm-hmm.
So is the pupper okay now? Is all right in his world?
Yeah. He was much more chill once he saw her. Now they're all chilling in a room again.
And they didn't spray her, right?
I couldn't smell anything.
Okay. Alright, so we've got a little bit more yellow. So I'm not going to be able to get the colors exact. But we'll try. We'll do what we can. Okay, so that's the one. Alright, I might not add the white paint in there, just leave that be. I need some kind of pink. Actually, I need like 2 pinks. That's not pink. That is red. Shit. That. That. That's probably the color grade I should have used. And what's all that?
Oh, it's garbage from stuff we picked up.
So did you find a harness?
Yes, no problem.
That fit her?
Yes, fits well.
So is your mom just full of shit and didn't want to put the harness on her?
It's a different kind of harness.
Oh, okay.
It's got a Velcro closure. It's got a clip too, but it has a Velcro for the primary. You know how this has a clip and then you hook it together?
Yeah.
Hers has a Velcro, then a clip, then you hook it together.
Okay. I was gonna say Velcro alone ain't gonna do it.
No. But it fits her quite well.
Like, I can see where it wouldn't work on her as her only means of grabbing her.
It's better than the collar.
I want the collar to stay on her.
It's on her.
But no, like when they're in the RV, if she tried to run out the door. Because, like, we take Zuzu's harness off.
Well, that's probably going to be a non-issue in the future anyhow.
But, because, like, we take Zuzu's harness off when he's in the house.
Yep. She's got the collar. We've got a little extendable thing that's currently on Zuzu's. We can swap it out as needed. Because he wanders more.
Oh my god, I need a gray. I have gray. Why can't I put my hands on a gray? I know I have gray. That's too light of a gray. I need a dark
Well, you didn't say I need a dark gray. You just said I need a gray. A light gray.
That'll go. That'll do. Okay. Don't know why I grabbed the white. I didn't need it.
Oh, and it turns out bearded dragons are cheaper than I thought.
Huh?
No, I didn't get one. Relax.
No, I didn't hear what you said.
Bearded dragons are cheaper than I thought.
How much were they?
It was $60.
That's it?
Yeah.
I thought they were $350.
Yeah, I thought there were too, but no. The $350 might be for larger, better grown specimens, but
Maybe.
I'm okay with a little guy, so
If you want a little guy, that's fine.
I might eventually. But
I'm
again,
okay with
that's a concern for down the road, so just keep in mind that eventually little guy can eventually come up to 2 feet counting tails.
I understand that, and I'm okay with you getting one. Just not okay with a snake.
Yeah, I get
that. Okay, so these aren't, sorry about that, I had to find paint. Then you got to, that was some separated pigment. And then you got to hear our conversation. Oh, so it's not actually a lighter pink, it's just white. Oh, okay. So I didn't need that color pink after all. Are you going to be separated? No. Good. Wonderful. Okay. All right, so we've got a black circle here, and we're gonna have a black circle here. So probably like one tiny like snail shell round shape. Well, it's not like it's exact terminology here. I'm just making it up as I go. It just looks like a snail shell when we do it. It's not like there's real terminology for this that I'm aware of, because I don't know if what I do is really a real thing, or, you know, I mean, obviously it's a real thing because I do it, but I don't think it's like any official art form. Like, I'm painting with tissue paper, basically. It's not like, you can't like go to your craft store and be like, hey, yeah, where's this tissue paper art aisle? They'll probably be like, what? We have tissue paper. And this is not bleeding tissue paper. Just to be clear, that is a fancier tissue paper that the dye will run out of. That's not what we're doing. We're just using regular old gift bag tissue paper. Nothing fancy. Just to be clear. Okay, so that's white. Eh. Okay, this is shit. Was that supposed to be white? That was supposed to be white. Okay. I mean, it's not like a huge problem. Like I said, we're gonna have to make some concessions here. Just because we're only going to be able to get away with doing so much so tiny. At least with my hands. So then this along the outer edge here. Yeah, I think simpler is going to be the better way to go here. So one of the dogs passed away about a month ago, right? And they were brothers. So the remaining doggo didn't, like, you could tell he was a little bit lonely, but he didn't seem to, like, he wasn't constantly looking for his brother. But you know, like, he knew something had happened. And and we weren't sure if we were going to need to get him a friend. And the mother-in-law, before the other dog had passed, had rescued a dog. Well, had taken in a dog that her sister had rescued, one of her sisters had rescued. And she had had it here, and Momo wanted no parts of that dog. Every time this collar jingled, Momo was like howling and barking, like, danger, danger. And so now that Momo's not here, like, the mother-in-law had left with the dog and had gone to travel with her sister for a while. And the mother-in-law came back while we were gone and had brought the dog back with her, and we weren't sure how the two were gonna react to each other. There was like maybe a day or two of them getting reacquainted. And now Zuzu seems to have bonded to her. And the mother-in-law took her to go get groomed a little bit ago. And Zuzu was not happy at all. He was whining at the door. He was jumping up at me when I was sitting here about to go live. He was beside himself. He's like, where did she go? So we weren't sure if we should take him down there so that he could see where she was. But I'm like, they're not gonna, they're busy. They don't have time for that. You don't even know if they're actually actively working on her right now. So, you know, that might just be getting in their way. So they waited to go back to get her and then took him with them. And he calmed down as soon as he saw her. So it looks like the mother-in-law is going up to her one sister's tomorrow. Russell has to take her at some point, and then she is flying back to New Hampshire to meet up with the sister that has the RV to help her drive it down here. So she's not flying with the dog. We're keeping the dog, and now it looks like we're going to have to keep the dog when they both head out back on the road with the RV. Because Zuzu was not having it. with her not being here. And we really didn't want to get him another friend to potentially then have to move with 3 doggos. It's going to be chaotic enough trying to move with these 2 and the cats. But we won't know if we're moving it for at least another year. Because we need to do a scouting trip up to Virginia to check things out, to see if our allergies are any better up there than they are here. If they're not any better, then I think we're just going to be stuck here. If they are better, then we'll either be stuck here or we'll be looking for a different place, a different state. If they're better, then we're gonna see about relocating, because we were fine allergy-wise pretty much the whole time we were gone until we came back. And as soon as we came back, oh man. It's not been pretty. And we don't have COVID this time, so it's not that. Is this on both sides or is it just on the one? I might put it on both just to simplify life. Alright, so I'm probably going to outline this guy. In the black. I think that would probably work out a bit better. Just kind of tentatively, quickly doing that now, so I don't forget that that's what I wanted to do. Is that gonna... It's kind of... You know what? Artistic license. We're gonna do that. Like, everything doesn't have to be exact matches. And I keep forgetting this fact, because I get too caught up trying to exact match it. I'm like, what are you doing? This doesn't even have to be an actual reference. We could have just made the colors up as we went. But sometimes I need the reassurance, I guess, of a reference. I suppose. So we're gonna try to outline that. I don't think I'm gonna do the black on the edge of the pink though. That'll probably be a bit too much black. So now the question is, do we want like a green background? It's gonna be a different shade of green. Like that might be more the shade that would go here. This is gonna be a darker shade of green, I think. Oh shit. Do you have the Dremel?
Somewhere.
You don't know where?
I have a rough idea where it might be.
Can you go find it?
You need it immediately?
Yeah, I forgot these need the holes drilled in before I start.
Are we doing holes all the way through? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, for the holes, I thought I was just using a drill.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine then.
Alright, you want me to go drill them now?
Yeah. So let's see. Drill hole on this one. Probably about there. So we are far enough from the edge that we don't split. And probably about there. On that one. I put out way too much of this blue paint. So like the tissue paper blue I have is probably going to be a little bit darker than this. Okay. Where the blue dot is, roughly.
Okay, you're gonna have to paint over that blue dot probably.
There's tissue paper that's going over it.
Oh, that's right, I forgot.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that blue dot freshly painted?
Semi-freshly. And then this one where the blue dot is too, since you're taking these outside.
Oh, ready to move to?
Well, I'll just give it to you. So that way they can both get done now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Give me just a minute.
Yep, yep. In all reality, I probably could do that. I'd start in a minute. But, like the drill I can handle. But it's his drill, so I don't want to fuck it up. Because then I'll never hear the end of it. Kind of situation, you know? You know how it is. So we're just in a brief pause. It's not going to take him long to drill that. In fact, he'll probably be back in before this ad break starts. Unfortunately, we didn't have it timed quite right. But I wanted to get him before he got too involved in something. And there was no point in holding one hostage when he's already drilling the one, so I might as well just give him both. Okay?
Mm-hmm. I didn't know how dry it was, so I didn't want to hand him stacked.
Oh, it's as dry as it's gonna be.
Fair enough.
Oh, at least on the green one. Alright, so, don't know if that's gonna be wide enough. We may have to widen that. I will figure that out with him later. I mean, we could go purple on this background, but I didn't want it to be like too dark. Sort of situation. And I always do these pretty rough because this doesn't need to be like final visible paint job perfect here. So that put in here because we're gonna take this one's gonna come out to the very edge, mostly because of how I gessoed it. I wasn't being all that careful on this one not to hit the edge of the wood, and the wood bark on this one was pretty thin, so wasn't as chunky as that one. So I'd originally gotten these to paint on with our oils stuff, our oil painting, and you guys saw some of those oil painting videos that I got recorded before we left. I need to do a few more of those. But I need to finish my my rough draft demo of that big tissue paper project so I can figure out what colors I'm gonna need. So we're gonna make that the Christmas request this year, aside from some clothes. I will say, if we do end up moving to Virginia in a couple of years, I am gonna need to get, actually both of us are gonna need to get some actual winter clothes, more than just like a couple of pieces. Winter here has been kind of non-existent lately. Like, it got into the excuse me, allergies. I think my Benadryl's wearing off. It had gotten into the negatives, like negative 15, 20, which was real extreme for here. For like 3 or 4 days, and snowed, and then we were back up into like the 50s. So our winter here is kind of sporadic. I guess I think it only really snowed maybe 3 times max last winter. Okay, good enough and good enough. Okay, just stretching my legs out here real quick, hopefully without touching any wires to piss anything off. So the new light's not doing too bad. I wasn't sure if it was quite angled right, but I guess it'll do. Okay, so we're all done with the paintbrushes. Alright, well, those, well, are we though? I'm gonna need to get a smaller brush that I can sacrifice for glue. Actually. Alright, that paint tray has to go over there. Let me get the paint out of the way, because we are pretty much done with that. Like, we didn't need it for very long. So let me shove this back in its drawer real quick. And I'm just grabbing a paintbrush real super quick. That I can sacrifice. To the glue gods here. Bear with me. 1 second. Okay, maybe more than a second. Because now I need a cup for my glue. Okay. Alright. So, let me put my paintbrush, or my pencil away. Scissors can go back in their spot. I'm just trying to get somewhat, or keep somewhat organized here as we go. Because now we have to dive into the tissue paper archives. Oh goody. Okay. So that's a light pink, the dark light blue. Alright, we need to see what we have here. Alright, that's probably a good shade for the bird's feet. We're not using purple. We don't need the apricot color. Alright, this shade of green is not the shade of green I'm looking for. And this might be the shade of blue that I put on there. I know it's not quite the same, but I really didn't feel like digging for the right shade of blue. Alright, now what color is this? Is this black? I think that's black. I didn't mark the bag, so I'm not sure. So that's black. Pretty sure. We need that. This was the... Alright, is this the shade of pink I want in here? Probably. Alright, so we're probably gonna go with this shade of pink for the butterfly. So now, I have to figure out what shade of green I want here. We've got like more of a hunter green, and then we've got more of like a pine tree brownish green. We've got all kinds of tissue paper here, friends. So we're gonna probably use this color for the beak. Birdie beak. Purple we don't need. I mean, we could also go... This color blue would probably be better. Alright, that color I don't need. Right, let me... I have these guys clipped together. Alright, so we're gonna pull this out for that. It's a butterfly. Let's see here. That's probably the right yellow. So we've got yellow, the blue, and the pink, and the black pulled aside for that. We might need this like maroon brick color for the bird. These guys to the side. We've got more. Like I ordered a whole bunch of packs of tissue paper. I think these bags are my overflow because I originally had them in a bead container. Or do we want to go with like the pale yellow? I mean, these two might work out a little bit better, but that's sort of like a orangey yellow. No, we'll go with the original. And these are, in fact, different shades of green. They are. I promise. Oh, my voice got kind of echoey there for a second. I don't know why. Okay. Another binder clip here. Alright, gold and silver we don't need. There's... Ah, crap. We're just dropping stuff. That's fine. It's fine. This is another shade of blue, too. No. I'm gonna go with the shade of blue that we picked. We'll have to figure out which shade of... Alright, I want that. And we need white. Okay, we have to figure out which shade of red we want to go with here. We need the white. The butterfly. We need this for the branch that Birdie Boy is sitting on. Alright, so now we have to figure out... These are different shades of red. This one's a little bit brighter. This one's a little bit darker. Unless we go with these two. But it's only very subtly different. That's dramatically different. Maybe we just go with these two and skip this one. This is probably that color. Probably. Probably. Alright, we still need to figure out our background color here. Oh, we've got some more. Is this the same? Is this the same brown? Don't know. I still need to find gray. Oh. I think I used all my gray. You know what? We need so little brown. Just for the feet. That we don't need. That is some pre-twisted white. I will take that. This looks like more white. And I don't understand why it's separated into two bags, but okay. Okay. So I think I'm gonna go with this shade of green, and I don't know if it's this. It might be. Hands feel dusty touching all these bags. They've been around for a while. Is that the same color? This is what I get for not fully color marking the bags. Yeah, alright. So these are, although this was like a multi-pack color, so it's not like the colors came with names on them. Okay. Those colors. I still need a gray. I used a lot of the gray that I had on my flamingo, so I might have to use the silver. It might not be noticeable that it is in fact silver once I get it into position. I have a little bit of gray, and I'm hesitant to use it because I still need it for a different project. Let me check my bead box here. That's silvery. Okay, that's more of the gray. Alright, you know what, we're not gonna need that much gray. So I guess we'll just use the regular gray. Alright, so all of this is gonna go back in its bin so I can keep my sanity. I don't know why that door is sticking, but it is, and it's driving me crazy. But that's not something that I can fix right now, anyhow. Okay. Oh, my glue. Hang on. Now, I don't have any elmers right now. I kind of prefer the tacky glue anyway, because that's a little bit easier to deal with. Okay. So we're gonna get some of our tissue paper here. Now I don't have any of this color pre-twisted. So I'm just, these are approximately 1-inch squares. Obviously this is not. But we're gonna take a little bit and we're just gonna twist it into a little paper snake. So this corner towards you, this corner away from you, and then, you know, just twist it. And I would recommend getting some of this twisted ahead of time. Just, you know, because your glue will dry on you and then you'll just have to put more glue down, but and I do recommend having either like a barbecue kitchen skewer that you can sacrifice to the art project gods, or some kind of stylus that you can get glue on. Or if you have a pencil that has a really fine point on, although I hesitate to recommend the pencil because if it sharpens, it could leave a mark on your paper. right? And you don't really want that. So we're just gonna twist a few pieces here. And that is the brighter red color. I already have some of the darker red that I had twisted for something, and I don't remember what I was twisting it for. Alright, so I've got a little cup here. Looks like I had paint in it, or paint water in it at one point. Alright, just gonna make sure our glue nozzle is clear. And this is just like an old medicine measuring cup that was washed out really good. Or we just didn't end up using it. I'm just gonna put some of our tacky glue in here. I'm not gonna do a whole lot, so I don't want to waste any if I can help it. Because tacky glue is not cheap. It's not overly expensive, but it's not super cheap either. Scissors. And my brain was like, hey, you need to get the thing. And I'm like, okay, I'll get the thing. And then my brain stopped and it's like, did you get the thing? And I'm like, what was the thing I was supposed to get again? So this was just a stylus I picked up some time ago at Dollar Tree. It was inexpensive, so I'm okay with getting glue on it. Alright, and I'm gonna try to figure out which one of these is finer, and I grabbed a crummy paintbrush that I am okay to sacrifice to the glue gods. You can use Elmer's, you don't have to use tacky. I find that the tacky glue grabs quicker though. And try not to leave the glue sit in your brush. So I recommend having two. Now this isn't the only bit of glue that these are going to get. They will get a layer of Mod Podge on top, just to make sure that everybody is good and sealed down. And that we get in there and get all the little crevices. Now for sections that you think don't have a piece quite the right size, just go ahead and snip it. It's paper, it's fine. It's gonna be okay. You can snip the paper. That was actually probably too big. But that's okay. So this is kind of just like our shadowy bit to separate our wing here. Now, do make sure that if you rinsed the glue out of your brush, that you dried your brush really good before you come back in and pick up some fresh glue. Now you can put glue down in a larger section than one line at a time. If you're going to put down a little bit extra in an area, I do suggest that you not be overly generous, but give yourself a little bit of time. Like if you know a super thin layer is going to dry really fast, then maybe try to give yourself maybe a couple extra moments by putting it a little bit thicker. And I do recommend working in smaller sections until you are comfortable working with this medium. I like this stylus because one end is smaller than the other. And don't be alarmed about any glue. You get extra glue on the nub of your stylus, you can just push it off of there. I've got glue crusted all up in here. If your glue, just make sure you get a glue that's going to dry clear. And it'll be fine. And if you are going to cut a tightly rolled bit of paper, either snip it inside of like a Ziploc bag, or just try to keep an eye on where it's going, because I've snipped these before and they have taken flight to the point where I've had trouble finding the little bits right away. So-called passerby. Wow. That's not cool, so-called passerby. Thank you, Mubot. For taking care of that. We're not allowed to post links. And whoever owns that bot, just so you know, that doesn't count as not posting a link. Your bot army is gonna get banned real quick with that. Because we're gonna get that reported up some point here. Pretty sure that's the same website that was trying to do stuff in here yesterday. Joke's on you, nobody's here. It's not that busy. So this is what I mean by working in small sections, because the tacky glue dries fairly quickly.
Got him.
Thank you. So you can see that, I don't know if the camera will be picking up the subtle, it's very subtle, color difference between these two at the moment. So when I do the big project, I'm not sure if I'm going to use the Elmer's or if I'm going to do tacky. I'm probably going to do tacky because I think I saw that I can get the tacky in gallon-sized jugs. And I'm going to need at least one, if not two, gallon-sized jugs of tacky glue for that. Grabbing the large end there, and I want the small one. But see, this is why we did all of that prep work before we got started, and I could have done the prep work without you guys. But it's easier to just do it as we go, because then I'll get somebody to be like, well, how did you do that? So it's just easier to go through the steps all at once. All right, so you want to make sure that you are really smushing them in there. Smush it down and smush it against itself. Whatever glue seeped up in between will help glue its sides to its friends. And it's tissue paper, it'll get a little bit wet. Wow, it was traffic today. It'll get a little bit wet from the glue. And it'll be a little bit more malleable, because it'll feel a little stiff from twisting it. That's fine, it should be. It's going to, because I mean it is paper. And I did it this way instead of just smushing the bits of tissue paper on there, to give it a little bit more texture. And a little bit more life. Wait, is this, which brush were we using? I guess it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I do recommend working in these small groupings, at least until you're used to what you're doing. And make sure you have a cup that you don't care about rinsing your brush that has glue on it in. Again, once you sacrifice a container or use a container to rinse your paint brushes in, whether it's paint or glue or whatever, consider that brush now belonging to the art gods. You don't want to reuse that for whatever its original purpose was, like drinking out of or whatever, because you never know what residues might get left behind. So that now belongs to the art gods. Okay, now, let's take a look here at our beaky buddy. I'm just gonna try to get a couple of these nipped up here. I'm not going to need too many because it's a small section here that we are working with. In fact, that might be enough. Now, I don't really care if I get stuff on this contact paper that we have down here, but at the same time, it doesn't hurt to have an extra layer of, oh, what did I just do? So that's why I've got the scrap of the printer paper under us here. Plus it was giving me an area where I could wipe off our brush on. A, when we were painting, and B, now that we're working with the glue. And I do have my paint towel over here, but I'm just kind of drying the brush off and just giving it another pass on the papers to make sure we are good and dry. Oh, this might actually be too big. So yeah, we have way too much that we cut down there. Way too much. That's okay. I wasn't quite sure how we were gonna tackle this. I'm not sure if we need to... Does that need to be zoomed in a bit more, or can you see what I'm doing? We might have to zoom in a bit more. At least when we get to the butterfly. Husband's in the middle of doing something. Hey, sweetie. When you get a second?
What's up?
Does that need to be zoomed in more, or can you see what I'm doing?
I can see fine.
Okay, because we're working tiny, so...
This still should be good enough.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, we cut way more than we needed to on that color. So that's really all I need from that color, to be perfectly honest. Set that to the side. Alright, now we need black for both of these guys. But we only need some pieces of it. So I'm gonna try to... Oh, I lost that one. I don't know where that one went. It might be on my chair. So just snip as small as you can without snipping yourself. Like, we don't want you to snip yourself. Like, that wouldn't be very helpful at all. I don't even know how much of this we're really gonna need here. That might be enough. Grab our white here. And honestly, we probably only need one of the white. I don't even know if we need a full. So I'm gonna take our our tube that we rolled, and I'm just gonna roll it up on itself like a snail shell. That is too big. Okay. So I'm going to cut that in half. And I'm going to try to roll this as tightly as I can. Oh gosh, that is, no, that is still too big. Okay. Shoot, how do I want to do this? Let me. Okay, so it's not white at all. What did I do with the brown? There's the brown. So it's like a little circle of brown, actually. And then there's like a little dot of black in the middle. So this is what I'm going to try to do. I don't know if it's going to work. So brown. Alright, so we've got a little tiny bit of black, and I'm going to just kind of smoosh one of those little tubes that we cut. Alright, so I'm just going to kind of smush that in the middle. And I'm going to snip that off there. This is going to be way too big. So I'm trying to wrap the bit of black with the brown. Oh, hey, I think we got it. Sweet. And then we're going to take a little bit of this black. Right? Bit more glue. And we're going to start to fill in this area with our glue here. Again, this is just water soluble tacky glue. Nothing fancy. I'm using the Gold Bottle tacky glue, not sponsored. And if an area dries on you, don't panic. Like before you get your paper down, don't panic. It's just tacky glue. Just put some more down. I was just saying to work small so you didn't waste any glue. I don't want you to get frustrated. I've had glue dry on me before, so that's why I tend to work tiny. Alright, so I'm gonna put our edge down here. And then I'm going to try to get this wrapped around our eye as best as we can here. And if you have a section that maybe just didn't get enough glue, just go back in with a dry brush. That's not the glue. There we go. And just put some glue down on it. And then that'll tack that guy down in place. And I know we're rinsing the brush a lot, but we don't want the glue to dry in our brush. While we have sacrificed this brush to the glue gods, we don't want to sacrifice it to the trash bin if we can help it. And don't forget to clean off the nub of your stylus, or you can even use a toothpick, really. You don't need anything super fancy. So, I mean, a toothpick would actually probably be helping me a little bit more because it has a finer point on it. So we will make sure that we have one handy for next week, because we will definitely need it for the butterfly, I think. All right, so we'll get this popped into here. And then we'll get that guy smushed into there. And then I just need one more little bitty bit of a guy. I just want to smush down right in there. And see, that is holding on its own, which is why I like the tacky glue. So it does give it a little bit more texture. All these little pieces, these guys are fine. They can go back in the bag that they came out of. Use those for the butterfly. And we get back around to it. Came with this little white piece. Now I'm gonna close up the bag that the white paper twists are in, just so I don't accidentally pick it up and fling it, because we don't want that. Alright. Okay. Now, I need some more of our lighter red, so the corner furthest to you is going to come to you, and the corner closest to you is going to go away. So, like that. And you're just gonna twist. And you don't have to twist it. I mean, do what you want, really. There's no real rules to this. You could smush it on in there, and I have smushed it on in there, like doing shrubs and trees and stuff, to give it more of like a haphazard, leafy, bushy texture. Or change up, add different things, add different directions, add different textures. A lot of times when we do clouds, I'll take a piece and I'll take one end and fold it up on top of itself, and then I'll just roll the rest of it around it just to give it a circular kind of fluffy motion. When I do the bigger art project, I think I'm going to work in 2x2 or 3x3 squares. Probably 3x3, where I can get away with it, just so it's a little bit less that I have to constantly be twisting. Just getting some more twists in the brighter red color, since we are gonna need those. And these are pretty solidly on here already. So it's not like you have to use hot glue for this and risk burning yourself. You might melt the paper, really. Tissue paper is so delicate. Even with like Elmer's, it doesn't take much. Okay. We're using this guy. So like even this amount of glue, I probably put too much down for. I have to figure out how I want to do our head section here. Do I just want it to be small strips in here? Probably. And when we get over to this edge, we'll start elongating. That's kind of ambitious for me. Probably put a little too much down there. Okay, so we're using the brighter red. Let's get a couple of these. nipped down here. Whoop. Snip the paper, not the finger. Okay. So, start on our far edge here. Just kind of lay these guys down on in, and remember, don't be shy. They need to know thy neighbor. Alright, let's see. Can I get this? I did. I don't know if I'll be able to get it in there. There we go. You will need to wipe off the excess glue on whatever you're using. We've got ads starting in 2 minutes, you guys. Okay. Just want to make sure that everybody's crammed in there nice and tight. There was a little bit of glue on the edge of my stylus, so it kind of worked to our advantage there. If you're having trouble picking them up, you can grab a pair of tweezers. Again, I would make those tweezers that you have sacrificed to the art gods. Just because, you know, glue residue and stuff. I mean, it's supposed to be non-toxic glue. It's not like super glue or anything that we're working with. It's just tacky glue. But it's just a better practice to be in the habit of. Okay. Alright. We're not doing too bad. He's got a little bit of a bowl haircut going on here at the moment. That's okay. And, you know, if you have any loose edges, don't fret it. It's fine. Because, I mean, if it's really becoming problematic, just stick your paintbrush back in a little bit of glue. It's not the glue. And, just go over the top edge of it. If you really need to. If it's not going to be too floppy and get in your way, then just leave it. And it'll get smushed down at the end when we come back and do our Mod Podge pass to make sure that everything is good and glued down. And this is why I meant, or this is what I meant when I said, doesn't matter if your paint is a little bit streaky. You're not gonna see it. Alright, so we're just gonna smush that guy down in place. And then our next guy, oh, actually, he doesn't want to stay where I'm trying to put him. He's just going to be a little bit stubborn. And you'll get that sometimes. Hey, can you go get the potatoes? Husband?
What?
Potato o'clock. 4:25. That piece right there. Just, I didn't like the way it was sitting. That's all that's about. Now it's okay if some of this is like sticking out on the edges because we can clean that up with the background color when that comes in. So that is not anything worth fussing too hard over. Alright, and get, oh, I do need you positioned a specific way. We want the point of that sticking outward. Okay. It's not so bad. Alright, so I just need to make sure that we are good for pieces here. I'm gonna twist a couple more. So I'm sort of torn if I want to do the stick first. think I might want to do the stick first here. Just an attempt to make things a little bit easier on us. Although looking at the time, we might want to pause there. Because I didn't want to go too over today. Alright, you know what? I think that's a good pause point, actually. I know we started a little late today, and I do apologize for that. But Doggo needed consoling since his buddy had to go to the groomers, and he was apparently blindsided by it. This is the bright red. And we will pick this back up next, what day is it? Monday? Yes, Monday's art now. No, Monday's always been art, but tomorrow is going to be our new needle felting day. Let me bring this guy a little bit closer so you can see the texture here and the raised upness of it all. And there's the darker red in there. It's pretty subtle on the camera. You can kind of see it in person though. So we still need to finish doing our branch and our bird and our background. So we have a little bit of a ways to go on this. The background might go a little bit faster. I'm not sure if I'm going to smush it in on the background or if I'm going to do sticks. I might just smush it in around the tree branches. That might be the easiest thing to do for that one. And then we still have to do the butterfly. We've got our base design on there. We've got our color pattern on there for how we want to do. And all that. So we will be back tomorrow with needle felting, where we're going to start to work on the husband's Christmas present of a sort of plush statue of an axolotl. I hope to see everybody tomorrow. Until then, have a good one, you guys.